Then I had some horribles. I had like some old country records, like Lee Greenwood.
Oh, God, you did not have Lee Greenwood.
No, I had 2 Lee Greenwood records. And
wait, he put out more than one?
And I had Lee Greenwood and Barbara Mandrell singing duets.
Welcome to the Rowdy.com Big Three. Talking NASCAR racing today. I'm
talking Kasey Kahne.
I think first we should start with the really big story.
You mean Kelly Byers?
I was thinking Mike Bliss.
Mike Bliss?
He's going into the 09. No, no. We learned yesterday. First, Marty Smith broke the story. Then Jim Utter took it to the next step. Here's what we think.
And then Bob Pockris took it to the next step.
Here's what we think we know. Here's what we think we know.
Okay.
That Kasey Kahne will be driving the 5 in 2012.
Yes.
Okay.
He's not coming back to Richard Petty Motorsports in 2011.
They've said that.
Right.
But we don't know where he's going to drive in 2011.
Sure we do. Sure we do.
Well, please, regale us.
Hendrick Motorsports has technically a 4-car team, but then they've got this 2-car satellite operations.
They do?
Yeah, Stewart-Haas Racing. And of course, Stewart-Haas Racing gets engines, chassis, and technical support from Hendrick. In other words, they get everything from Hendrick. So it's just 2 more Hendrick cars. So you could put Kasey in basically a 5th Hendrick car, or a 8th Hendrick car, or a 3rd Stewart-Haas Racing car.
The Budweiser.
And you'll be just fine.
The Budweiser Stewart-Haas car. Yeah.
Now, the real question to me is, if Kasey's going to work with Alan Gustafson and drive the 5-car in 2012, would you want to get started on that next year and put him in the 5-car and put Mark Martin over there? The only thing is, I don't think Mark Martin's going to like that too much. He's got a good relationship with Alan Gustafson. So I say Kasey Kahne to a 3rd Stewart-Haas car in 2011. Take the 5-car in 2012.
I think Mark Martin is desperately trying to win that championship. He needs that championship. He doesn't want to be broken up with Alan Gustafson, and he's not going to go over and race Tony Stewart. So yeah,
he's also not going to win a championship. Let's move on to issue. Let's move on to issue number 2. Another really interesting aspect of this story is whither go Budweiser. They were bought out by InBev. InBev is admittedly not as impressed with sports marketing as Anheuser-Busch was. Budweiser did not follow Junior to Hendrick Motorsports. Do you see Budweiser following Kasey Kahne?
You know, we don't know about what the contract says, but I can't imagine they wouldn't. I mean, Kasey Kahne is a big-time driver.
They didn't follow Junior.
No, Junior got out of his contract. Junior didn't want to be with Budweiser because Budweiser made him go to too many appearances. I think
and it was limiting because it was an alcohol sponsor.
Yeah, I think Budweiser goes with Kasey Kahne. I totally do. I think that's what makes it work at Tony Stewart. That's what makes the whole thing fly.
I think Budweiser does go with Kasey Kahne. The only problem I see here is when he gets to the 5-car, do they continue to go? Because if I'm Budweiser, one more year with Kasey, I got to sign on for a multi-year thing. And I'm not sure how they feel about that. So I'm not as confident as you. I think in the end, they do go with Kasey Kahne because I think they like Kasey Kahne.
Yeah, I think they do.
And I think he likes working with them, and I do think it's potentially big for them. The only question I have is who sponsors the 5-car in 2012? Because, you know, when you think about it, Kasey Kahne and GoDaddy isn't a bad match either.
It's a much better match than GoDaddy and Mark Martin.
You would think.
That's a fair point, but if I'm Budweiser, I want to stay in Hendrick equipment. That's what I want to do.
There you go.
All right, issue number 3. I want to ride this Denny Hamlin at Phoenix story for one more day.
You are insane.
Well, because here a point was raised in some article I was reading, and I don't remember exactly who said it or where I read it, but
what it was.
The suggestion was, perhaps there should be a change to the point system so that injured drivers don't feel compelled to start a race just to get points. Just like other sports have injured reserve lists, can we tweak the point system so that if you're injured, you don't feel like you need to get in the car just to get the points?
No. Sorry. No can do.
No. If Michael Jordan has the flu, he can't play. But he does.
It's unfortunately, the championship here isn't the owner's championship. And we have the owner's championship. So we could do that, but the championship here is the driver's championship. And you count all 36 races. Of course, you count 26 in the regular season and then 10 in the chase. But you count them all, and that's the way the system is. That's the way the system ought to be. Most guys don't miss races, and you have to play hurt sometimes to get those points. I think that the point system actually is pretty flexible when you think about it, because you can start a race
and get out
and get the minimum, at least the minimum amount of points for starting that race.
Let's look at football. Tom Brady, he busted his knee up. He was out for a whole season. They had a good backup.
But his team still could win the game.
But the point system we're talking about is the driver point system. It's the driver's championship. There is an owner's championship. It's just no one really cares about it.
And the team still could win if they get a good driver to replace him. They still have a shot. I'm not saying Casey Mears is going to do it, but they could.
For Buck Fever and Buzz Cutler, I'm Bassmasters. That has been today's Rowdy.com Big Three. We'll see you next time on the program.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.